Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We've been reading from Adi Lila, chapter 9, and we'll be continuing from verse 37 of chapter 9 of the Adi Lila. Mukam karoti vachanam pangum langate girim yat kripatamaham vande shikurum dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Verse 37. Ekala malakar ami kata phala khaba na diya va ei phala ar ki kariba. Ekla alone malakar gardener ami I kata keta how many phala fruits khaba eat now without diya giving va or a this phala fruits are else ki what kariba shall I do. Translation: I'm the only gardener. If I do not distribute these fruits, what shall I do with them? How many fruits can I eat alone? Purport: Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu produced so many fruits of devotional service that they must be distributed all over the world. Otherwise, how could he alone relish and taste each and every fruit? The original reason that Lord Krishna descended as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to understand Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna and to taste that love. The fruits of the tree of devotional service were innumerable, and therefore he wanted to distribute them unrestrictedly to everyone. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore writes, Anarpita charim chirat karuna aya vatirnaha kalau samarpaitum unnatojvala rasam svabhakti shriyam hari purata sundara dyuti kadamba sandiptaha sada hridaya kandare swritu vaha shachi nandanaha. There were many previous incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but none were so generous, kind and magnanimous as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for he distributed the most confidential aspect of devotional service, namely the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada desires that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu live perpetually in the hearts of all devotees, for thus they can understand and relish the love affairs of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And yesterday was Gadadhar Pandit's Tirubhav day, or the disappearance day, and we were hearing in the classes that because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as in the mood of Srimati Radharani to understand her love for Krishna. So her mood, Radharani's mood was basically with Mahaprabhu. Hence Gadadhar Pandit, who was the internal potency of Lord Krishna, was almost in the background in the Chaitanya Leela. Verse 38. Atma icchamrite vriksha sinchi nirantara tahate asankhya phala vrikshera upara. Atma self icchamrite, by the nectar of the will, vriksha the tree, sinchi sprinkle, nirantar constantly, tahate there, asankhya unlimited, phala fruits, vrikshera on the tree, upara upper. Translation: by the transcendental desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, water has been sprinkled all over the tree, and thus there are innumerable fruits of love of Godhead. Purport: God is unlimited and his desires are also unlimited. This example of unlimited fruits is factually appropriate even within the material context. For with the goodwill of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there can be enough fruits, grain and other foodstuffs produced so that all the people in the world could not finish them, even if they ate 10 times their capacity. In this material world, there is actually no scarcity of anything but Krishna consciousness. If people become Krishna conscious by the transcendental will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there will be enough foodstuffs produced so that people will have no economic problems at all. One can very easily understand this fact. The production of fruits and flowers depends not upon our will but upon the supreme will of the personality of Godhead. If he is pleased, he can supply enough fruits, flowers, etc. But if people are atheistic and godless, then nature by his will restricts the supply of food. For example, in several provinces in India, especially Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh and other adjoining states, there is sometimes a great scarcity of foodstuffs due to lack of rainfall. So-called scientists and economists cannot do anything about this. Therefore, to solve all problems, one must seek the goodwill of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by becoming Krishna conscious and worshipping him regularly in devotional service. Verse number 39. Ateva sabha phala daya ayare tare khaya ha uk loka ajara amare. Ateva, therefore, sabha, all phala fruits, deha, distribute, yare tare, to everyone and anyone, khaya, eating, hayak, hauk, let them become, loka, all people, ajara, without old age, amare, without death. Translation: distribute this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Let people eat these fruits and ultimately become free from old age and death. Purport: the Krishna consciousness movement introduced by Lord Chaitanya is extremely important because one who takes to it becomes eternal, being freed from birth, death and old age. People do not recognize that the real distresses in life are the four principles of birth, death, old age and disease. They are so foolish that they resign themselves to these four miseries, not knowing the transcendental remedy of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from all misery. But because they are enchanted by the illusory energy, people do not take this movement seriously. Therefore, those who are actually servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must seriously distribute this movement all over the world to render the greatest benefit to human society. Of course, animals and other lower species are not capable of understanding this movement, but if even a small number of human beings take it seriously, then by their chanting loudly, all living entities, including even trees, animals, and other lower species, will be benefited. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from Haridas Thakur how he was to benefit living entities other than humans, Srila Haridas Thakur replied that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so potent that if it is chanted loudly, everyone will benefit, including the lower species of life. Verse 40. Jagat Vyapya Mora Abe Punya Khyati Sukhi Ha Iya Loka Mora Gahi Beka Kirti. Jagat Vyapya, spreading all over the world. Mora Mai Have, there will be. Punya, pious. Khyati, reputation. Sukhi, happy. Haya, becoming. Loka, all the people. Mora Mai Gahi Beka, glorify. Kirti, reputation. If the fruits are distributed all over the world, my reputation as a pious man will be known everywhere, and thus all people will glorify my name with great pleasure. Purport: this prediction of Lord Mahaprabhu is now actually coming to pass. The Krishna consciousness movement is becoming distributed all over the world through the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and people who were leading confused, chaotic lives are now feeling transcendental happiness. They're finding peace in Sankirtan, and therefore they're acknowledging the supreme benefit of this movement. This is the blessing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His prediction is now factually being fulfilled, and those who are sober and conscientious are appreciating the value of this great movement. Verse 41. Bharata Bhumite Haila Manushya Janma Yar Janma Sarthak Kari Kara Para Upakar. Bharata of India, Bhumite, in the land. Haila has become Manushya, human being, Janma birth, Yar, anyone, Janma. Such a birth, Sarthak, fulfillment, Kari, doing so, Kara, do, Para, others, Upkar, benefit. One who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, the Bharatvarsh, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. Purport: the magnanimity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressed in this very important verse. Although he was born in Bengal and Bengalis therefore have a special duty toward him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is addressing not only Bengalis but all the inhabitants of India. It is in the land of India that actual human civilization can be developed. Human life is especially meant for God realization, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Anyone who takes birth in the land of India, Bharatvarsh, has the special privilege of being able to take advantage of the instruction and guidance of the Vedic civilization. He automatically receives the basic principles of spiritual life. For 99.9% of Indian people, even simple village farmers and others who are neither educated nor sophisticated, believe in the transmigration of the soul, believe in past and future lives, believe in God, and naturally want to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead or His representative. These ideas are the natural inheritance of a person born in India. India has many holy places of pilgrimage such as Gaya, Banaras, Mathura, Prayag, Vrindavan, Haridwar, Rameshwaram, and Jagannath Puri. And still people go there by the hundreds and thousands. All the present leaders of India are influencing the people not to believe in God, not to believe in the next life, and not to believe in distinction between pious and impious life. And although they are teaching them how to drink wine, eat meat, and become supposedly civilized, people are nevertheless afraid of the four activities of sinful life, namely illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. And whenever there is a religious festival, they gather together by the thousands. We have actual experience of this. Whenever Krishna consciousness movement holds a Sankirtan festival in a big city like Calcutta, Bombay, Madras, Ahmedabad, or Hyderabad, thousands of people come to hear. Sometimes they speak in English, but even though most people do not understand English, they nevertheless come to hear us. Even when imitation incarnations of Godhead speak, people gather in the thousands, for everyone who is born in the land of India has a natural spiritual inclination and is taught the basic principles of spiritual life. They merely need to be a little more educated in the Vedic principles. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Janma sartha kari kara para upakar. If an Indian is educated in Vedic principles, he is able to perform the most beneficial welfare activity for the entire world. At present, for want of Krishna consciousness or God consciousness, the entire world is in darkness, having been covered by the four principles of sinful life: meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. Therefore, there is need for vigorous propaganda to educate people to refrain from sinful activities. This will bring peace and prosperity. The rogues, thieves, and debauchees will naturally decrease in number, and all the human society will be God conscious. The practical effect of our spreading the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world is that now the most degraded debauchees are becoming the most elevated saints. This is only one Indian's humble service to the world. If all Indians had taken to this path as advised by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, India would have given a unique gift to the world, and thus India would have been glorified. Now, however, India is known as a poverty-stricken country, and whenever anyone from America or another opulent country goes to India, he sees many people lying by the footpaths for whom there are not even provisions for 2 meals a day. There are also institutions collecting money from all parts of the world in the name of welfare activities for the poor, poverty-stricken people, but they are spending it for their own sense gratification. Now, on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Krishna consciousness movement has been started, and people are benefiting from this movement. Therefore, it is now the duty of the leading men of India to consider the importance of this movement and train many Indians to go outside of India to preach this cult. People will accept it. There will be cooperation among the Indian people and among the other people of the world, and the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will then be fulfilled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will then be glorified all over the world, and people will naturally be happy, peaceful, and prosperous, not only in this life but also in the next. For as stated in the Bhagavad-Gita, anyone who understands Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will very easily get salvation or freedom from the repetition of birth and death and go back home, back to Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore requests every Indian to become a preacher of his cult to save the world from disastrous confusion. This is not only the duty of Indians but the duty of everyone. We are very happy that American and European boys and girls are seriously cooperating with this movement. One should know definitely that the best welfare activity for all the human society is to awaken man's God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Therefore, everyone should help this great movement. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 22nd chapter, 35th verse, which is next quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So verse 42, which is from the 10th canto. Etavach janma safalyam dehinam iha dehishu pranayr arthair diya vacha shreya acharanam sada. Etavat, up to this, janma of birth, safalyam, perfection, dehinam, of every living being, iha, in this world, dehishu, toward those who are embodied, pranay, by life, arthai, by wealth, diya, by intelligence, vacha, by words, shreya, eternal good fortune, acharanam, acting practically, sada, always. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. Purport: there are two kinds of general activities, shreyas, or activities which are ultimately beneficial and auspicious, and prayas, or those which are immediately beneficial and auspicious. For example, children are fond of playing. They do not want to go to school to receive an education, and they think that to play all day and night and enjoy with their friends is the aim of life. Even in the transcendental life of Lord Krishna, we find that when he was a child, he was very fond of playing with his friends of the same age, the cowherd boys. He would not even go home to take his dinner. Mother Yashoda would have to come out to induce him to come home. Thus, it is a child's nature to engage all day and night in playing, not caring even for his health and other important concerns. This is an example of prayers or immediately beneficial activities, but there are also shreyas, or activities which are ultimately auspicious. According to the Vedic civilization, a human being must be God conscious. He should understand that God is what this material world is, and who he is, and what their interrelationships are. This is called shreyas, or ultimately auspicious activity. In this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that one should be interested in shreyas. To achieve the ultimate goal of shreyas, or good fortune, one should engage everything, including his life, wealth, and words, not only for himself but for others also. However, unless one is interested in shreyas in his own life, he cannot preach the shreyas for the benefit of others. This verse, cited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, applies to human beings, not to animals, as indicated in the previous verse by the words Manushya Janma. These injunctions are for human beings. Unfortunately, human beings, although they are the bodies of men, are becoming less than animals in their behavior. This is the fault of modern education. Modern educators do not know the aim of human life. They are simply concerned with how to develop the economic condition of their countries or human society. Development, karma, which is sense gratification, and moksha, which is liberation. But humanity's first concern should be religion. To be religious, one must abide by the orders of God. But unfortunately, people in this age have rejected religion, and they are busy in economic development. Therefore, they will adopt any means to get money. For economic development, one does not need to get money by hook or by crook. One need only sufficient money to maintain his body and soul. However, because modern economic development is going on with no religious background, people have become lusty, greedy, and mad after money. They are simply developing the qualities of rajas, which is passion, and I think sorry for the delay here. I just almost lost my verse. It's loading up. Yes, it is here now. They are simply developing the qualities of rajas, which is passion, and tamas, ignorance, neglecting the other quality of nature, sattva, which is goodness, and brahminical qualifications. Therefore, the entire society is in chaos. The Bhagavatam says that it is the duty of an advanced human being to act in such a way as to facilitate human society's attainment of the ultimate goal of life. There is a similar verse in the Vishnu Puran, Part 3, Chapter 12, verse 45, which next quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, verse 43. Praninam upkarya yad eveya paratra cha karmana manasa vacha tad eva mati man bhajet. Praninam, of all living entities, upkaraya, for the benefit, yat, whichever, eva, certainly, iha, in this world or in this life, paratra, in the next life, cha, and karmana, by work, manasa, by mind, vacha, by words, tat, that, eva, certainly, matiman, an intelligent man, bhajet, must act. Translation: by his work, thoughts, and words, an intelligent man must perform actions which will be beneficial for all living entities in this life and the next. Purport: unfortunately, people in general do not know what is to take place in the next life. To prepare oneself for next life is common sense, and it is the principle of the Vedic civilization. But presently, people throughout the world do not believe in next life. Even influential professors and other educators say that as soon as the body is finished, everything is finished. This atheistic philosophy is killing human civilization. People are irresponsibly performing all sorts of sinful activities, and thus the privilege of the human life is being taken away by the education propaganda of the so-called leaders. Actually, it is a fact that this life is meant for preparation for the next life. By evolution, one has come through many species or forms, and this human form of life is an opportunity to promote oneself to a better life. This is explained in the Bhagavad-Gita 9.25. Yanti deva vrata devan pitran yanti pitra vrataha bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajno api mam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. Therefore, one may promote himself to the higher planetary systems, which are the residence of the demigods. One can promote himself to Pitralok. One can remain on earth, or one can also go back home, back to Godhead. This is further confirmed elsewhere in Bhagavad-Gita 4.9. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti. So Arjuna, after giving up the body, one who knows Krishna in truth does not come back again to this world to accept a home, back to Godhead. Shastras and people should be given the opportunity to understand it. Even if one is not able to go back to Godhead in one life, the Vedic civilization at least gives one the opportunity to be promoted to the higher planetary system where the demigods live, and not glide down to the lower animal life. At present, people do not understand this knowledge. However, it constitutes a great science, for they are uneducated and trained not to accept it. This is the horrible condition of modern human society. As such, the Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to direct the attention of intelligent men to a greater benefit in life. So we'll continue from verse 44 onwards next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.